It's a strong draft class. It is absolutely stacked.
Bang! And May will keep it and to the end zone for Drake May.
It's caught. It's Harrison. It's
Touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr. Backed up and taken down by Jared Verse. It's broken up by Terry and Arnold. To the field, and it's intercepted. Arnold. Daniels, back right corner of the end zone. Drops it in. He's got Bowers. Touchdown. Bowers. He's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Dallas Turner chased him down. To the end zone. Neighbors holds it in again. To the 10, to the 5. And Williams takes a shot up the field. Has Washington.
Well, it is draft season, but it is not officially mock draft season until the season premiere of Mock Draft Live, and that is what we are here for today. What's up, friends? Rhett Lewis, former NFL scout Bucky Brooks, ready to dive in and really get some context on one of our pal Daniel Jeremiah's mock drafts. Before we do that, Bucky, how many mock drafts have you submitted so far?
I've only worked on, I think, maybe 2, but we're working on 3.
That's all preseason.
all
Preseason, none of it counts because now it's mock draft season, and Daniel Jeremiah has been in the lab, as the kids like to say, debating on whether he was going to choose chaos for his next mock draft 2 hours later. By the way, he's really deciding really hard. You could, by the look on his face, as you could tell. Then 2 hours later, he made his decision, and he sent it in with chaos as the theme. And so now we welcome in lead draft analyst, former NFL scout, Daniel Jeremiah. DJ, good news is fortune favors the bold. Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, look, let's have a little fun. By the way, what clearly happened was that was a draft day picture of a pick that I did not agree with, and I'm trying to bite my tongue. I think that was the expression on my face right there.
That's what that was. Okay, wanted to make sure. But look, you've given us a lot to think about here in your Mock Draft 3.0. Can't wait to dig in, so without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? At number 1, after the Bears, of course, sent Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers over the weekend, this move becoming all the more clear, and that's the one we've been talking about, Deej, for a long time. Caleb, number 1.
Yeah, Caleb Williams going number 1. This shouldn't be a surprise. We've been saying it for a long time. They kind of cleared the runway after the Justin Fields trade. They did not want him to walk into a chaotic, potentially split locker room environment. So it's all set up for Caleb Williams with a very nice supporting cast that they've accumulated there in free agency.
Okay, so new GM Adam Peters and the Washington Commanders on the clock at 2, and they go quarterback as well, choosing UNC signal caller Drake May. And boy, it felt like, DJ, this is kind of where the draft was going to start here at 2.
Yeah, and this is something, look, I don't think there's a firm handle on this, of which one of these guys are going to go. Is it Drake May? Is it Jaden Daniels? I actually look at the trade of Sam Howell, who's one of Drake May's best friends, is actually a good thing that could point in the direction of another Tar Heel coming into that building.
Okay, let's move to 3. So we've got, we're partying like it's 1999, 1971, and 2021. Quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and at 3, it's Jaden Daniels to the Patriots.
Yeah, again, Jaden Daniels, I think he goes 2 or 3. I think that's exactly where he's going to land. Now, how does that shake out? Does somebody blow one of these teams away with the trade? You know, we'll wait and see. But I do not see him getting out of the first 3 picks coming off of a monster Heisman Trophy campaign.
Okay, so quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and we'll see how many more come off in the first round in your Mock Draft 3.0 here in a second. But let's go back to number 1 here, and let's really dig in on why, DJ. If you could show us why Caleb Williams has been the thought at number 1 for like 2 calendar years.
Yeah, I mean, look, the tape is it's fun to watch. We can jump into it, and I can show you what people have been talking about and been buzzing about really for the last 2 years. You know, the question is, can he play from the pocket? I think once you go through the volume of video, you'll be able to see the examples of him being able to deal from within the pocket. The touch is pretty incredible for a power thrower. He can really touch the ball over the top. And then it's the creativity that's going to be expressed and shown here with just some elite arm talent. The running left and throwing right, snapping your hip throws that he makes are pretty ridiculous, and they show up in just about every single game. You go back to the first time we were introduced to Caleb Williams on the national stage. They're down big against a rival in Texas. He gets out on the field. That long run sparked them, a big comeback win He hasn't been shy about the big moments, the big stage, and I think he's going to walk into a fantastic environment there in Chicago with what Ryan Poles has done to build out this roster.
Well, Bucky, it's an environment that desperately needs a dynamic passer, a franchise, the only franchise, in fact, that has never had a 4,000-yard passer. So does Caleb solve those woes?
Well, he should solve it. He should solve it because he's super talented. He's a big-time playmaker when he operates in structure and also outside of structure. But the weapons that they've put around him, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift coming over and signing and being able to shore up their running game, they have a lot of firepower around him, and this is a much different team, the Chicago Bears, than the one that Justin Fields was tasked with leading. I think that Caleb Williams should have a lot of success. He should enjoy success early because they set him up success with the talent that they put around him.
So he'll give you some of what Justin Fields gave you as an athlete, right, as a runner, but then maybe a bit more in the pass game, and obviously resetting all the financial stuff as well there, a big positive for the Chicago Bears, who we will hear from again a bit later in the top 10. Now let's move to number 2 here, DJ, and you kind of alluded to it when we first mentioned Drake May. Not sure if this decision has been made yet, if they've decided that it's going to be May over Daniels, but in this case, why did you choose Drake over Jaden in this scenario for the Commanders?
Well, I think there's a lot to like about Drake May. I think he's one of those guys that because he was on the scene early, and Bucky knows how this happens, that you end up getting nitpicked and picked apart as a player. At the end of the day, he's big, he's athletic, he can make plays on schedule. You can see the creativity that he possesses to be able to make plays off schedule, the arm strength to be able to fit balls in small windows. All of that's there. Now, there's still some development. He still get into some bad habits footwork-wise here or there, but in terms of what he can be, the potential that he possesses, man, I think that'll be awfully difficult for the Commanders to pass up at number 2.
Yeah, look, I think it'd be really tough for the Commanders to pass it up because when you think about what Drake May offers, look, he's the prototype. He's big, he has great athleticism, great arm talent. The intangibles are off the chart when you talk to the people at North Carolina. And the flashes that he's put on tape suggest that he can be a franchise quarterback at a high level. The issue that you might have with him is didn't play great the 2023 campaign, doesn't have a significant amount of snaps where you can kind of project out how he's going to come into the league. But if you have the luxury of waiting on him to fully develop, you talk about a guy who can be a star. People have to understand, didn't play his last year of high school, redshirted his first year, or didn't play his first year at North Carolina. He's only played the last 2 seasons, has not played a lot of ball, but man, you just see the upside and the potential. It makes it where it's really, really difficult to bypass him at number 2.
Well, good news for Commanders fans who are, maybe feeling a little bit of trepidation about a pick like this, considering the last Tar Heel signal caller that went number 2, Mitchell Trubisky. He's got about double the amount of experience as Mitchell Trubisky, and is, I think, a
much better
bit
player.
More accomplished of a passer
player.
and a better overall player than what we saw from Trubisky when he went to the Bears. So let's move on to number 3 now, DJ. Jaden Daniels then goes to Gerard Mayo in his first year as a head coach. Elliott Wolf there pulling the strings as well with the New England Patriots. What does Jaden Daniels look like in a Patriots offense?
Well, first of all, you're going to bring a watchability factor. This was not a watchable offense last year with the New England Patriots. Now, I know, you've got new head coach, you've got new personnel department with a man in charge there in Elliott Wolf. This will make them fun. This will make them watchable. He will give you the playmaking ability down the field, over the top as a thrower. And then when he decides to take off as a runner, he's very dynamic. So there's a reason why the comparisons have been, Lamar Jackson, because as a thrower, as a runner, similar kind of narrow frame build. I think Lamar is a little more elusive. I think Jaden might even be a little bit more fast, just pure straight line running ability. But when you're eliciting those type of comparisons, I know one thing. It will go from a very unwatchable product to a team that's going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah, they should be fun to watch if Jaden Daniels is the pick. You talk about one of the only guy to pass for 12,000 yards and run for 3,000 yards. And when you watch him do it, he does it in a spectacular fashion. Everyone talks about the game where he had 300 and 200 and was able to kind of dazzle doing it with a variety of ways. But I think the more you dig into the tape, you see a guy who is very polished and precise from the pocket. This guy spins it like a seasoned vet. He offers you the added dimension of being able to run and get on the perimeter and make things happen. The biggest concern will be the size of the frame and can he take the pounding and the punishment. But when you have 55 collegiate games of experience, you feel like this guy can step into the league and play right away. And the expectation would be that he can play well right away.
Didn't get measured at the combine, but perhaps his experience on the field puts to rest some of those concerns about the durability, about the body, about the frame, that sort of thing. So we'll continue to follow that part of the storyline. Now, DJ, in your mock draft 3.0, it's a little early for trades, but the Vikings have inspired it in you, and you've got them moving all the way up to number 4, where we actually get our 4th quarterback.
The time is now. McCarthy to throw in the end zone. The time is now. And there goes J.J. McCarthy. Handed by McCarthy. He throws. Caught. Touchdown Wolverines. He's gone deep. The catch is made.
From Michigan to Minnesota, the national championship quarterback of the Wolverines is the number 4 pick of the Vikings and the 4th quarterback in a row, DJ, for the first time ever in the Common Draft era in this simulation.
Yeah, let's be a little weird here. Let's do something that hasn't been done before. I just think when you look at the move the Minnesota Vikings made to pick up another first-round pick this year, that is a signal. That is the bat signal that's been put out there. They want a quarterback. They want to go up and get one. And I'm just not certain they're going to be able to get up to those top 3 picks. They get up to number 4 here. They don't take the chance that J.J. McCarthy gets taken before they're sitting on the clock there at 11, and they get their replacement for Kirk Cousins.
Okay, so let's take a look at this now. First time ever, like I said, in the Common Draft era that we get quarterback times 4 there. So that'll be fun. That's part 1 of the chaos. There's more to come. We'll get to that. But as far as the fit, like for the Vikings, when they acquired the extra first-round pick, they made the move up, DJ, to go get a quarterback at 4. Why was McCarthy the fit for Kevin O'Connell's system?
Well, I think you look at the quarterback that he had in Kirk Cousins, and I try and say, okay, who can do a lot of those things, which will keep the offensive structure the same. I think J.J. McCarthy can check that box. And then you want to add something to that. So who brings the athleticism to be able to expand that offense a little bit more? And I think McCarthy, with his athleticism, allows that to happen. Now, keep in mind, also, he's a young player. You know, Buck's talked a lot about in this draft season, the importance of starts and experience. Well, he doesn't have quite as many starts as some of the others in this draft class, and he doesn't get a chance to throw the ball quite as much. This dude has been in a lot of big games and has showed tremendous poise. So the skill set's there, and I think there's a belief in him, the makeup of the player, that he's going to figure this thing out at the next level.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think the belief in the makeup of the player. He is what I call the winning guy. He's the winner. Won a national title, 27-1 as a starter, and he's done it while sacrificing his game. At a time when we talk about quarterbacks bouncing all over to college and going where they can throw it all over the yard, he chose to go to Michigan where he's going to hand the football off, play more of a ball control style, but that should serve him well as a pro. I think he's a nice fit for the Minnesota Vikings. You think about what Kevin O'Connell can do with him. You talk about building that running game, but someone that can complement that by being able to throw from the pocket, but also adding that athletic dimension. J.J. McCarthy is a well-liked prospect. The more we're hearing about him leading up to the draft, the more evaluators are getting comfortable with thinking that he's going to be a top 5 pick.
Well, look, in Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh's eyes, the Vikings are getting a steal at 4 because he thought he should be the number one.
Should be number 1
pick. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick little recap here. Again, quarterback is the name of the game. Picks 1 through 4. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and then J.J. McCarthy rounds it out. So we get 4 quarterbacks in those first 4 picks off the projected trade of the Minnesota Vikings. And you're going to see 3 of those 4 players right here on NFL Plus exclusively with our Pro Day coverage. College Pro Days are here, and NFL Plus will give you access and exclusive live coverage of USC's Caleb Williams' Pro Day on March 20th, LSU's Jaden Daniels on March 27th, and UNC's Drake May on March 28th. You can catch it all on NFL Plus. And still to come here, with all these quarterbacks and all this talk about the guys that are throwing it, we need some receivers in the conversation. So let's get to Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. Where are they going in DJ's mock draft, and which team might trade up to get one of them? You find out next.
To the end zone, caught, touchdown! Rising to the occasion is Harrison Jr. Harrison wide open. Touchdown Harrison again.
Oh, first one's so nice, we traded twice. And so it's the New York Jets moving up from 10 to 5 in a trade with the Chargers to go get the best wide receiver in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. Team him up with a Garrett Wilson, reuniting the two college teammates, DJ.
Yeah, I'll touch the Jets side of it here. We'll get back to the Chargers in a minute. But with the Jets, this is an all-in season. They've fixed the offensive line with some veterans. Now you pay the price to go up and get the premier pass catcher in this draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, pairing him up with his college teammate. Watch out with the two Buckeyes.
All right, quarterbacks went with the first 4 picks. Now we get receivers going with the next 2. And it's the explosive wideout from LSU, Malik Neighbors, going to the Giants at 6.
Yeah, this is something our buddy Lance Zierlein's been talking about for a while, but there are Neighbors teams. There are teams that have Neighbors as the top wideout in this entire draft class. I have Harrison and Odunze above him as players, but it would not shock me if he was able to be the second, maybe even potentially the first one off the board. Here he goes to the Giants. They don't get their quarterback, but they do get a weapon for their quarterback.
Well, it's been all offense thus far, and that continues at number 7. But we do get our first offensive lineman off the board, first of many, I should say, and it's offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Alt, going to the Titans at 7.
Yeah, a massive upgrade, figuratively and literally here for the Tennessee Titans. They have to address that offensive line. They admitted the error there with Andre Dillard. Here they get just a solid guy. You're going to be able to plug into that spot for the next decade plus. One of the younger players in the draft and an absolute giant of a human being.
Okay, at long last, at number 8, Dallas Turner is our first defensive player selected, and first time in, 4 years that the Falcons don't go offense in the top 10. Here they get the top edge rusher.
Yeah, 1 year I'm going to be right. I'm just going to keep giving them a pass rusher in the top 10 every year and assume they cannot get another skill player on offense. And eventually, I'm going to be right on this thing. So I'll do it 1 more year here with Dallas Turner.
All right, enough of the defense. Let's get back to the sizzle, to the splash, to the whole package, because we know you love Rome Odunze, and you got him going 9 to the Bears to join Caleb Williams.
Yeah, he's my number 2 wide receiver in this class. I absolutely love his game. I've said he's my favorite player to study in this draft class. Can play inside, can play outside. He's smart, tough, versatile. We saw how well he tested at the Combine. To me, it's too tempting for the Bears to add yet another weapon for the rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams.
Okay, DJ, so this is kind of similar. Like, if we're going back to the way we talked about Caleb Williams as kind of like a wire-to-wire top quarterback, number 1 pick, that kind of feels like the conversation around Marvin Harrison Jr. at the wide receiver spot. Yeah, there's been a little bit of back and forth, but show us why Marvin Harrison has earned that distinction as the top dude.
Yeah, Caleb's been my number 1 player from start to finish so far, and you look at Marvin Harrison, he has not moved off the 2 spot. He is the top wide receiver for me. You see what he can do against press. He's like a power forward. He's able to get through it. The run after catch, you can see the burst and the speed. Again, no 40 time, didn't work out, didn't really feel the need to because of all this stuff you see on tape. The route polish, the snap at the top, the catch radius to go up and play above the rim. He is a true number 1. You see it again with some spectacular adjustments. Just for fun, I went back over the last couple days, and I went through all the 2022 tape of Caleb Williams, and I went through all the 2022 tape of Marvin Harrison Jr. It was like going back to where you went on your first date, guys. And why did I fall in love with this guy to begin with? And I was like, oh yeah, that's why. These are unique players. These are special talents. And in this case, the Jets make a bold move, Buck, to go up there and procure his services. And Charger fans are mad at me. I'm going to explain the logic for that when we get to their pick.
Okay, good.
But right now, this is a home run for the Jets.
Yeah, it would be a home run for the Jets. Think about Garrett Wilson pairing with Marvin Harrison Jr. Even though you've thrown older assets at the offensive line, it should be good enough to hold up with Aaron Rodgers coming back. The thing about Marvin Harrison Jr. is, look, he's a natural number 1 receiver, but is he an X, meaning that he doesn't need motion to be able to get off press coverage, or is he a Z where you need to help him move him around a little bit? Regardless, in New York, he would be with Garrett Wilson, but I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what is his best position in the pros. Does he anchor the passing game, being on the backside of these wild formations, or is he a guy that needs to move around and play in the slot some so you can create space for him to get busy?
All right, going back to the pick right after Marvin Harrison, it was the Giants at number 6, and they go get a player to help Daniel Jones in this scenario, and it's Malik Neighbors. If they are one of those Neighbors teams, DJ, why is this such a great pick for their offense?
We've said it for 2 years about the Giants need to be more dynamic and more explosive on offense. Now, you look at what they've lost in the offseason. You lose Saquon Barkley, who the offense kind of ran through. You need somebody who can give you some home runs, and this dude does it. And you don't necessarily have to throw it 50 yards down the field to get a chunk play. You can throw it 5 yards down the field. He can take it and go. So the best run after catch in terms of the pure juice of these top wide receivers is Malik Neighbors. So if you run an offense, you want to get the ball out of your hands quickly and let the wide receivers do the work, you're going to love his game.
Well, for those teams that are picking twice in the first round, kind of like the dream scenario that the Houston Texans had last year at 2 and 3, Stroud and Anderson. For the Bears, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze at 1 and 9. Come on, let's go. As you get a look at this Bears potential offense, again, this is with the Odunze pick. Already got DJ Moore. Keenan Allen comes over via trade. Cole Kmet's still there. They bring in DeAndre Swift as the running back there to pair with Caleb Williams. So it all is starting to come together here, DJ. What does this offense look like to you now? As we get to our instant impact, presented by Microsoft Surface. Now I'll let you go.
Way to handle the business there. Look, when you watch Keenan Allen, as I have, over the last 6 years, every game that he's played, one of the underrated aspects of his game is just how intelligent he is, how smart he is, and what a comfort that is for a quarterback. I hear a lot of those same things said about Rome Odunze. So not only do I love the tape, what you hear out of Washington is this guy can play any spot. He knows the entire offense inside and out. He knows how to read coverages on the fly. You're going to be able to really expand this offense with the versatility of the pieces that you just put on that board, moving guys around, finding the favorable matchup. Buck, you've made the comparison, if this were to happen, of the Cincinnati Bengals and what they put around Joe Burrow. I think that's a great call on your end. Man, you're setting your quarterback up for success here.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because when I look at Rome Odunze, he reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase in terms of that rugged blue-collar pass catcher on the perimeter. He overwhelms people with his physicality and toughness, consistently wins the 50-50 balls. And, DJ, you talked about his intelligence, his ability to line up in any spot within the formation. Just think about the flexibility that the Chicago Bears would have if you have Rome Odunze playing with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, just moving those guys around, playing musical chairs, making life miserable for defense coordinators, trying to figure out how do we deal with all of these weapons because each of these guys can dominate a game on their own.
I think it's really astute when you bring back the Bengals, too, because, could the Bengals have upgraded their offensive line instead of getting Jamar Chase? Could they have gotten Penei Sewell? Yeah, they could have, but instead they went and got that and then tried to get the offensive line later. You could make the case the Bears could do the same, in this type of scenario and instead opt for the wide receiver. Great one there in Rome Odunze. And that is your Instant Impact presented by Microsoft Surface. Okay, moving to pick number 10. Another offensive tackle off the board. The Chargers get their man in Oregon State, big man Talisi Fuaga.
Yeah, Fuaga, year one, he played right tackle next to Trey Pipkins before eventually replacing him. The Chargers have made it known they want to run the football, protect Justin Herbert, and create an identity. Fuaga accomplishes all 3 of those missions.
All right, now moving beyond the top 10, at number 11, it's the Cardinals on the clock after executing that trade with the Vikings, and they go get their edge rusher, DJ, and it's Florida State athletic big man, Jared Verse.
Yeah, they trade down and they still end up getting a premier pass rusher. This defense needs help all over. This is a building block piece. When you have a defensive head coach in Jonathan Gannon, he needs more pieces. This is a big one for them up front.
Okay, getting back to the offensive side of the ball here at number 12 with Sean Payton's Denver Broncos. They go and get the best tight end in the class, and it's Brock Bowers out of Georgia.
Yeah, look, the quarterback is there as a need. I do think, though, that Jared Stidham is viewed very favorably in that building, and they believe in him, and they want to give him a chance. Now, they're going to bring in competition. I think if one of those 4 quarterbacks fell to them, I think they would take one. In this scenario, they're gone. I would keep an eye on the Broncos if this were to play out. You go ahead and you get the best player on the board in Brock Bowers, who you can use like they use Michael Thomas in New Orleans, and then keep an eye on a guy like Spencer Rattler outside the first round to bring in some competition.
Okay, Bucky, so let's look at this here. You know, you think back to Sean Payton's history with the Saints. You know, they went out and got Jeremy Shockey, was a big part of their initial run and from that tight end spot. And they've had other players, as DJ mentioned, like Michael Thomas, that could play these types of roles. Why does Brock Bowers make sense there with this Broncos offense?
Well, he makes sense because you're going to be breaking in a young quarterback, maybe in Jarrett Stidham, or maybe a younger guy that they draft or somehow find a way to acquire. And what you want to do is you want to make life easy for them. So by being able to use Brock Bowers as a guy that can create mismatches, that can dominate down the seams or even out wide, you now have an easy look for the quarterback to look, ID what the coverage is, know where to go to the ball, and then worst case, 50-50 matchups, hey, I can go to Bowers because my guy's better than your guy. And in a league in which we're seeing more teams kind of play matchup football, Brock Bowers is that chess piece that you need on offense. I can see why Sean Payton would want to have a player like that in the middle of his offense.
Kind of look forward to all that creativity there in Denver with those options that Brock Bowers gives you. So recapping the picks 5 through 12 here, obviously with the wide receivers back-to-back at 5 and 6. We get 2 tackles off the board in this range of picks in Joe Alt and Pelisi Fuaga. And then you had the trades kind of start to play in here. Jared Verse, after the Cardinals moved down to 11, goes off the board, and Brock Bowers, your final pick there at 12. Coming up, we've got another quarterback coming off the board. It's Washington's Michael Penix Jr. Where will that rocket arm quarterback be calling home in 2024? You will find out when we come back here on Mock Draft Live. All right, Mock Draft Live, the season premiere continuing as we look at DJ's Mock Draft 3.0, and we already have 5 quarterbacks off the board now with the Raiders selecting Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington, 13th, Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah, they've got Gardner Minshew, they've got Aiden O'Connell, but Penix is just simply more talented than those guys. So the injuries have to be discussed, but in terms of raw talent, why not take a shot there if you're Tom Telesco and the Las Vegas Raiders?
Okay, let's get to number 14, where the New Orleans Saints are getting a big-time offensive tackle. It is our 3rd off the board. It's Penn State's Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, this is similar to what I said about the Titans. Having missed on a tackle, you go back and take another one, and that's what I think could happen here. Look, Penning has not worked out for the Saints. Fashanu is a pure left tackle who I think represents a lot of value at this point in the draft.
Let's move to 15, where we get our 3rd defensive player, but our first corner, and it's Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, and he ends up going to the Indianapolis Colts here, DJ.
I think this is a close race between Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold to be the first corner selected. Now, he ran extremely fast, coming off a great Senior Bowl, and the tape is excellent. So I believe there's probably more teams than not have him as the top corner, and we know Chris Ballard loves toolsy players.
All right, we're starting to get a run on these tackles, and it's 16. The 4th tackle off the board is Washington star Troy Fautano, and he gets to stick right there in the Pacific Northwest going to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, playing for the same offensive coordinator, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. I think he begins his career at guard where they have a gaping hole. He could really play any of the 5 positions. I know there's folks believe he could be one of the best centers in the league in time. So I think that versatility, that talent, the connection there with his offensive coordinator makes a lot of sense for the Seahawks.
Yeah, Ryan Grubb leaves the Huskies, goes to the Seahawks, and, well, so does Troy Fautano there. All right, let's move to pick number 17, where the Jaguars are upgrading the secondary, and there is Terrion Arnold from Alabama.
Yeah, you wanted to play nickel, you wanted to play outside, he can do it. And not only can he take the football away as he's done, he is a physical force against the run. He plays with a chip, he plays with an edge, and I think he's just scratching the surface of how good he can be, and it's an obvious need here for Bucky's Jags.
There you go, and then let's move to the Cincinnati Bengals at pick number 18, who, look, continuing to try to protect their quarterback and their big-time investment, so they go with J.C. Latham out of Alabama to help out Joe Burrow.
Yeah, J.C. Latham, a power player, someone who can anchor all day long in pass protection, but really can move people in the run game. He would stay right there at right tackle and start opposite of Orlando Brown Jr. I know they just signed Big Trent Brown. That might represent the biggest trio of offensive linemen in the National Football League. That's a lot of beef there.
There it is. All right. Let's get to a recap here of the last 6 picks. We had 3 tackles and a pair of corners, as well as the 5th quarterback off the board in the top 13 picks. Michael Penix Jr. ends up going to the Las Vegas Raiders. So let's circle back to that pick right there. And, I mean, Bucky and I have talked about this a lot. DJ, Michael Penix just feels like a Las Vegas Raider with his ability to push the ball down the field. And obviously it makes sense with the group of quarterbacks that they already have there and the type of skill sets that they have.
Yeah, you want to be physical, run the football, and then take your shots down the field with the weapons that they have. And when you look at the video, you can just go watch him against Texas. You'll see everything you need to see here, especially when it comes to attacking down the field. He throws a beautiful deep ball. The question on him was, can he move? Can he get away from pressure? We didn't see a lot of it. Remember we had that discussion about C.J. Stroud last year. He showed you examples of it in this Texas game. The down the field accuracy, particularly on these bucket throws, these touch throws, is exceptional. And then when he wants to power the ball, he's got enormous hands. It looks like he's throwing a Nerf ball when he throws these seam shots. It just jumps out of his hand. So the chance to be explosive, to be dynamic, to be vertical, I mean, that's Raider DNA, Buck. And also, look, he was in the Pac-12 championship game. Last I checked, they played that in Vegas. Maybe the owner got a chance to sit in his luxury suite and go, you know what, I think I'd like to see that guy here a little more often.
Well, there are a couple of things why it would work. One, he does fit the mold of the Raider quarterback going all the way back to when the late Al Davis ran the team. They want to push the ball down the field. They want to go hunting for big plays, and there wasn't a better big play hunter than Michael Penix in the last couple of years at UW. But it's also the experience, over 50 starts in his career. This is a guy who has played the game at a high level. He was tasked with a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage, and he really thrived in an offense like that. You put him where he can be protected and he can take shots down the field to a veteran cast of wide receivers. I think you're talking about a guy that can have an immediate impact from day one. This is a very talented player. It's just about being comfortable with the injuries that have plagued his career.
Look, and to further DJ's point, I mean, the Raiders got to see Aiden O'Connell shine at Allegiant Stadium in the East-West Shrine Bowl, and then they got to see Michael Penix. So it's all fitting together. Okay, I see what you're doing here. You're putting all the pieces together. Let's continue working through your mock draft 3.0 here, getting back to the defensive side of the ball. Third edge rusher off the board is UCLA's Laiatu Latu. Great technician here, DJ, going to the Rams at 19.
Yeah, the best pure pass rusher, just in terms of all the different ways he can get home and win off the edge. It's a great pick. They've got some good young players from that rookie class last year on that defensive line. But let's throw another one in the mix here with Laiatu Latu.
All right, so we move to pick number 20, where the Pittsburgh Steelers have a brand new quarterback room, and they're trying to upgrade the protection around those quarterbacks with Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma.
Yeah, you see him lined up here at right tackle. That's where he would play. You kick Broderick Jones over to left tackle, his natural position. Now in 2 drafts, successive drafts, you have handled the bookends here for this offensive line to protect Russell Wilson, maybe Justin Fields, for the next several years. I love this pick. Stylistically, get yourself handled at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, so this next one's an interesting one because we have a guy who played left tackle at Duke, has played elsewhere, but you've got him taking center Graham Barton from Duke, and it's the Miami Dolphins at 21.
Yeah, really can play any of the 5 positions. So I think when you talk about him and Fatanu, both these guys have 5-position flex. The Dolphins, they lost some pieces along the interior of that offensive line. He is plug and play really anywhere you want to put him.
All right, let's move to 22, where the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock, and they turn in the card with a corner's name on it, and it's Nate Wiggins, the speedster from Clemson.
Yeah, big-time speed. You saw him run 4.2 at the Combine and got a little bit nicked up there. Showed up at 173 pounds, which is a little alarming. He put some weight back on. He was in the 180s at his pro day. Big-time speed, big-time cover man for a team that didn't cover very well last year in Philadelphia.
All right, so let's check out the last few picks here, 19 through 22. You've got the LA Rams going with an edge rusher Latu. Tyler Guyton and Graham Barton are back-to-back offensive linemen at 20 and 21, and then the Eagles get their corner in Nate Wiggins. And when we come back, final 10 picks in Daniel Jeremiah's Mock Draft 3.0, and you find out why Jeremiah Thomas. We're making a play on Nostradamus, aren't we? We're doing it. Why we're going to have Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes celebrating when we come back. So the Minnesota Vikings, you remember in mock draft 3.0 from Daniel Jeremiah, moved all the way up to number 4. In doing so, they essentially give the Cardinals 11 and 23, which Arizona, DJ, then turns around and uses to select another explosive wideout, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, they pass up the opportunity to take Marvin Harrison Jr., but this is a nice fallback plan here and one of the more dynamic and explosive players in the entire draft in Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay, let's get to Dallas, and they go back to the center well in the first round where they got Travis Frederick and hit big, and now they're looking for the same with Jackson Powers-Johnson.
Yeah, Travis Frederick was big, powerful, strong, tough. All the same words you'd use to describe Jackson Powers-Johnson, who is going to set a firm pocket for you in the pass game and then can really get after you and move you in the run game. So this will solidify the interior of that offensive line.
And the offensive linemen just keep coming at the tackle position in particular. And the Packers, with David Bakhtiari now gone, go get Amarius Mims from Georgia.
Every time I see Amarius Mims now, I'm going to see the image in my mind of Taylor Bisciotti standing next to him at that pro day to see just how enormous of a human being Amarius Mims is. But look, not only the traits are there, this is a big-time pass protector, just hasn't played a lot of football. So maybe a little patience, but if there's any organization that knows about patience, it's the Green Bay Packers.
Huge frame, hoping for a huge impact there in Green Bay as we move to 26. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go get a big-time force along the defensive front and Darius Robinson from Missouri.
Yeah, another one who's had a good process. You know, you look at what he did in the fall. He moved out to the edge from being inside, had a great fall season, goes to the Senior Bowl, was unblockable during that entire week of practice, and then has a solid workout at the Combine. I think this is a solid, versatile, athletic pick here for the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Oh, and how about these Arizona Cardinals? For the third time here in Detroit on April 25th, they get to turn in a card. This one is for a big-time disruptor in the interior, Byron Murphy from Texas.
Yeah, you can make a case they got the best edge rusher and the best interior rusher in the draft. This is an Arizona defense last year that was 30th in sacks, 27th in takeaways, and last in third down defense. This helps when you get a player like this to add to Jared Verse.
All right, the Buffalo Bills have seen their defense kind of turn over quite a bit in terms of personnel, and now they get somebody they can count on for the foreseeable future in Johnny Newton from Illinois along the front.
Yeah, this is a really fun player to watch. Very physical. He wins with quickness. You know, when you think about guys that can disrupt and play on the other side, you've got an offense led by Josh Allen that's going to give you leads. Put somebody inside there that can give you some pass rush to complement what you have already there with Ed Oliver.
And again, a guy that we just haven't seen a lot of throughout the process. You were talking about Darius Robinson winning it. Just haven't seen as much from Johnny Newton as he still recovers from an injury, but he is that pick at 28. Back at 23, we saw Brian Thomas Jr., fourth wide receiver, off the board. We get back-to-back offensive linemen, and then we go heavy up front. Robinson, then Byron Murphy going to the Cardinals at 27, which gives them 3 selections in this 2024 NFL draft in the first round. So when you put all that together, Verse at 11, they still get the explosive wideout in Brian Thomas at 23, and then Byron Murphy at 27. How does this all sound now?
Well, I think it's hard for people when you look at it, really with picks and 4 and 5, when you look at trading off of a premier player like Marvin Harrison Jr. I get it. Look, I have him as the number 2 player in the draft. He is supremely talented. But these teams need a lot of pieces, and this just happens to be one of the best wide receiver drafts that we've seen with tremendous depth and talent. So you can fill some holes as the Cardinals did here along the defense and still, Bucky, walk away with the guy who is a chance to be a number 1 wide receiver, elite talent here with Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, so if you think about what the Arizona Cardinals are doing, they are looking at the wide receiver board and trying to say, well, how comparable is the talent? And even though we can talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. being the number 1, Brian Thomas Jr. is a blue chip player. And so you bring him in, you're able to upgrade the front line, and you're able to attack some of your needs while getting back another good player. It allows the Cardinals to close the gap on the competition in the NFC West.
So the Cardinals with a couple of picks there in the 20s. Now we're getting to this section of the draft where it's kind of wild card because you have some really good teams trying to find best player available. And boy, do the Lions upgrade their defense here at number 29, DJ, with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry Arnold's teammate at corner at Alabama, going to the Lions.
Yeah, and the marketing campaign just writes itself, right? You've got the blue-flavored Kool-Aid. Let's just get that out there. Let's run with that. Let's make that a thing. But somebody who is, again, the elite top-end speed, maybe not, but somebody who plays with tremendous eyes and instincts and ball skills and can take it away for a team that's going to be playing with a lot of leads there in Detroit.
I mean, Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid? Come
like
on,
that.
let's
Yes.
go. Cooper DeJean is the next pick at number 30, and the Iowa Ball Hawk goes to Baltimore. DJ, love this fit here.
Yeah, talented players seem to fall in the lap of the Baltimore Ravens. Talented, versatile players fall in their lap. And talented, versatile players from Iowa, specifically, they have done some damage with Kirk Ferentz's program. They're very close friends there with Eric DeCosta, the general manager of the Ravens. This is home run value right here at pick 30.
Get some return ability, too. I know they love that in Baltimore with their defensive backs. All right, let's go back to the front, and another explosive edge rusher leapt off the turf when he's running his 40 at Lucas Oil. It's Chop Robinson going to the Niners.
Yeah, look, you can look at it and see, okay, they added Floyd. You've got Nick Bosa. We're good. Now, Chris Kasurk, their defensive line coach, they don't believe they're ever good. To quote DJ Khaled, another one. Just keep throwing them in there and let those waves roll through.
Okay, let's move to the final pick of the first round. It's the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champs, and they go wide out here for Patrick Mahomes, getting another athletic wide receiver, a big fella, and Adonai Mitchell lands with the champs.
Yeah, I could make the case, just pure athleticism, that he's the most athletic freak at the position in this draft class. So Xavier Worthy's been connected to the Chiefs. They went out and got Hollywood Brown. That is their Xavier Worthy.
Yes.
They don't have to sacrifice the speed, and they get a heck of a lot more size and physicality here with big A.D. Mitchell.
All right, let's take a look at those last four picks, 29 to 32. And again, some really good teams here, all playing in their respective all playing, deep into the postseason. Kool-Aid McKinstry for the Lions. We get back-to-back corners with Cooper DeJean, and then we go edge. Chop Robinson, Adonai Mitchell closes it out at 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs. And coming up, we are breaking down our favorite picks from DJ's mock draft, plus who just missed the cut. Draft player number 33 is on the way, and more when we come back. All right, back here with you on Mock Draft Live. We thought it through. Picks 1 through 32 on Daniel Jeremiah's Mock Draft 3.0. DJ, Red Lewis, Bucky Brooks here to give favorite picks from this scenario. Bucky, what do you got?
It got to be about the quarterback. Let's go J.J. McCarthy going to the Minnesota Vikings so he can play under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell, allow the young quarterback to develop. You got Sam Darnold in the house. I think it's the right situation for J.J. to develop.
Okay, DJ, then let's go to you. We've got 32 players going off the board here. Who's your favorite guy that didn't make the cut?
Well, my highest-rated player that didn't go was Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker from Texas A&M. Big-time speed, length. I just couldn't find a home for him, Rhett, but he is a first-round caliber player.
Well, I love that. And look, if not, we see him come off the board very early in round number 2 on day 2 in Detroit. When we come back here, episode 2 of Mock Draft Live, Bucky Brooks sitting in that hot seat. We're going to light up this light right here. We're going to be shining it right down on Bucky. Can't wait to see what he's got loaded up for us. Thanks for being with us here on the maiden voyage of Mock Draft Live.